a truthful to power and relentless in his pursuit of justice. He led with humility, but never with hesitation. He was the kind of leader you never forget, and the kind of friend you always feel grateful to have known. Thank you once again for all of you for joining us for this meaningful day as we dedicate the MARCO ANTONIO FIREBAUGH Memorial Interchange. May we carry his spirit forward with courage, compassion, and an unshakable commitment to community. It is now my pleasure to introduce a visionary leader, the leader of Altamed, el señor Don Castro de la Rocha.
Thank you very much, Cristina. Muy buenas noches. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. I felt a little bit out of place because I felt like I was coming to a reunion. that a class that graduated before me or much later than me. You walk into these reunions and you say, who the heck are these people? And the truth of it is, some of us have not seen each other 15, 20 years. I am delighted to be your host here this evening on such a special occasion. I'm reminded that some of us here have been around this block more often than others. I keep looking just at a few people here. I keep looking at, there's a few of us that we're talking about being involved in this movement and the things that I still refer to as a movement for decades. And that spirit, those concepts about controlling our own destiny, self-determination, empowering our communities, have not disappeared from our vocabularies, and certainly is something that we carry deep inside of us. And with conviction and dedication, we continue in those struggles that 40, 50 years ago we began, some of us at university campuses, some of us took over buildings and demonstrated during that period of time. Marco came a little bit later, but that spirit that the Polanco said, no, Richard was too young at that point. Estaba chavalito y mocoso during that period of time. Rebellious that he was, okay? But, some of us carry that spirit, and I am so happy that over the course of years, there's a number of people who have stood up for what we struggled for in those early days, in the early years, late 60s and 70s and into the 80s, that people took up the same causes that were important to us then and continue to be important to us today. Okay? So thank you all very much for being here this evening. And as I said, I could not be happier to be here to celebrate this very, very special occasion. As you may know, this took a little while to realize this dream of naming this interchange after Marco Antonio Firebaugh. It took a long time. It was a long time to come. In 2006, just to remind some of you, Assembly Member Jenny Oropesa and Senator Marta Escutia introduced Assembly Concurrent Resolution 142, designating the Interstate 5 and Interstate 710 interchange in Los Angeles County as the Marco Antonio Firebaugh Interchange. The legislature resolved that this interchange, located in his beloved southeast Los Angeles, would bear Marco's name. The same community that saw him grow and was a reflection of his humble beginnings. Despite the unanimous support of what is called ACR 142, Senator Oropesa's untimely passing in 2010 delayed the funding for the signage necessary to commemorate this memory. However, due to the persistent efforts of a certain state commissioner and a former staff member of MARCO Firebaugh, and you all know who that was, right? You know, I mean, he's such a pushy guy. The required funds and support were finally secured. Today, nearly 20 years later, I have again the honor of announcing the MARCO Firebaugh Interchange will receive its memorial sign this Monday. Not, it may be already open, it's already up. It is already, I haven't seen it yet, but I understand several of my staff persons have indicated that it's already up. I've had the honor of knowing Marco both professionally and personally, and like so many others who have had the opportunity to work with him, I can attest to his unwavering character, integrity, and dedication to community. His passion for public service and his relentless drive to uplift those around him left a lasting impression on everyone who met him. I recall the many late-night conversations where we discussed and shared our visions for a more just and equitable society. Marco was young. He was very young, but he was wise beyond his years. And those of you that work with that can certainly attest to that. His commitment, his dedication, few people who had that kind of a dedication. He dedicated his life to serving the most vulnerable and addressing disparities in our communities, fighting not only for immigrants and working families, but also to ensure that his constituency and other Californians had equitable access to quality health care and affordable education. During his short but impactful life, Marco authored several important pieces of legislation. I want to address one or two of these, including, before it became popular, the California Dream Act. Give that a round of applause. Which allowed undocumented students to receive state financial aid for college, and Assembly Bill 540, which allowed undocumented students to pay in-state tuition in California public colleges and universities. I also had the opportunity to work with him on numerous pieces of legislation addressing health equity. Together, we worked on Assembly Bill 1045, the licensed physicians from Mexico, on a pilot project that has allowed up to 30 licensed physicians from Mexico to practice at California community health centers. Now, that was a long time ago, but that piece of legislation was and it took a long time to get this thing done in the state of California. Altamed is proud to be one of those programs and have 7 of these physicians working at our clinics, making an impact on the lives of our patients every single day. That 30 now will be 175 that Mexican doctors that will practice in our community health centers. They're doing an extraordinary job. I mean, I could measure the quality of care, the clinical outcomes, patient satisfaction. They're doing an incredible